Hello and welcome to today's webinar on moving composite products to Great Britain from the European Union, delivered by the Cabinet Office's Border and Protocol Delivery Group. This webinar is part of a series of webinars being run over the next few months and is intended to give traders, in particular EU exporters and British importers, a simple step-by-step guide for how to export goods to Great Britain from the 1st of January 2022. Following the introduction of the new importing controls for moving goods into Great Britain. So just to go through some ground rules before we start, please can you put yourself on mute and keep yourself on mute throughout this webinar with your camera turned off. Ask any questions that you may have in the Q&A function or in the chat bar throughout the webinar. We will publish a recording of this webinar alongside the slides after the session. And once we've received it, we will email out a document setting out the answers to any frequently asked questions. So what is changing for people moving goods between the EU and Great Britain? This slide shows the two key dates relating to composite products coming into the country. The first changes are coming into effect from the 1st of January 2022, and the second set are coming into effect from the 1st of July 2022 onwards. So from the 1st of January, full import declarations will be required. This includes the use of simplified procedures, known as Simplified Customs Declaration Processes, or SCDP for short. This is formerly known as CFSP, and you will be required to do this if authorised to do so. The payment of relevant tariffs at import will also be required. Pre-notification via IPAFs will be required for imports to GB of products of animal origin, animal byproducts and high-risk food not of animal origin, along with the pre-notification for lower-risk plants and plant products. From the 1st of July 2022 onwards, Export Health Certificates will need to be submitted to IPAFs for imports to GB of live animals, products of animal origin and animal byproducts. Entry Summary declarations will also be required on imports into Great Britain. Phytosanitary certificates for lower-risk plant products and physical checks on SPS goods at the border control posts will also need to be completed. This presentation will cover the processes and the border procedures required to move composite products from the EU into Great Britain. In this case study, we will be specifically looking at importing pepperoni pizza from Belgium. We will cover the key dates and steps which will apply to moving composite products, by which we mean importing composite products to Great Britain from other member states. We will talk through the border requirements in Great Britain from the 1st of January 2022 and the 1st of July 2022 onwards. It is important to note that from the 1st of January 2022, GB ports or terminals receiving goods that are moving into Great Britain from the EU have the option to choose between two models for customs controls. The first model is the temporary storage model. This allows for goods to be stored up to 90 days at a government-approved facility before a declaration is made. The second model is the new pre-lodgement model, which was developed as an alternative for where border locations may not have the space or infrastructure to operate a temporary storage regime. In this example, the movement is through the short straits. At the short straits, the GB port or terminal used the pre-lodgement model only. The freight is also moving as accompanied ro-ro. So this slide introduces the three main people in our journey. Damian is the exporter based in Belgium, and he sells the pepperoni pizza to Great Britain. Damian has been exporting to Great Britain for a number of years. He is aware that the UK has left the European Union and that there are now new border requirements and paperwork that he will need to complete. Joe is a driver for the haulage company that Claire has employed to transport the pepperoni pizza. Joe and the haulage company are based in Belgium. They will transport the pepperoni pizza to Great Britain through the short straits, for example, from Calais or Coquelles to Dover or Folkestone. Claire is the importer based in Great Britain. Claire is aware that new border requirements and paperwork will be required to import pepperoni pizza from Belgium to Great Britain. This slide shows a quick summary of the journey and highlights the new importing changes. The slide shows the journey beginning in Belgium and finishing in Great Britain. So from the 1st of January 2022, Claire provides details of the goods arriving. This is known as pre-notifying. To do this, she uses IPAFS, which is the Import of Products, Animal, Food and Feed System. This is used to notify the enforcement authorities about live animals, animal products and high-risk food and feed not of animal origin being moved into Great Britain. From the 1st of January 2022 onwards, Damian will also make a merged EU Exit Summary Declaration and an EU Export Declaration. So from the 1st of July 2022, Damian will apply for an Export Health Certificate, ensuring that it is certified by the relevant competent authority. Damian will email Claire a scanned copy of the Export Health Certificate. Joe will enter Great Britain via an established point of entry with an authorised border control post, and his firm will need to also complete the Entry Summary Declaration. This is needed for importing goods into Great Britain. Finally, Claire will then receive her pepperoni pizza at her premises in Great Britain. So let's now move on to the step-by-step guide. Prior to the shipping of the goods, Damian, the EU exporter, and Claire, the British importer, need to agree on the type of Incoterms that they will trade on. Incoterms are the rules which set out everyone's responsibilities when exporting and importing. You can click on the link provided in the slides for more information. In this example, Damian will be responsible for and carry out the export procedures, and Claire will be responsible for and carry out the import procedures. Joe's haulage company is transporting the goods and will therefore be responsible for the safety and security declarations. This is an accompanied movement, which means that someone, in this case Joe, will stay with the goods all the way to Claire's premises in Great Britain. Also to stress, in this example, the goods are not moving under transit. A link for more information on using transit is available in the slide pack. If you decide to use a customs agent to move your goods for you, you will need to agree their roles and responsibilities before shipping the goods. Damian will need to apply for an EU Economic Operators Registration and Identification Number. This is known as an EORI for short. An EU EORI number is needed when interacting with EU systems, and a GB EORI number is needed for completing GB customs processes. An EORI number identifies who is importing or exporting the goods. To apply for an EORI number in the EU, you can go and check out the EU Commission website or click the link available within the slides. Damian also registers for Traces. This is the European Commission's online platform for sanitary and phytosanitary certification and is required for the importation of animals, animal products, food and feed of non-animal origin and plants into the European Union. Also, the intra-EU trade and EU exports of animals and certain animal products. The link for more information on Traces can also be found within the slides. In general, most businesses hire a company, such as a freight forwarder or a customs agent, to deal with the customs for them. Sometimes the company used to transport your goods can do the customs paperwork for you. In this example, however, Claire and Damian decide to do the paperwork themselves. Claire will also need to apply for a GB EORI number if she doesn't already have one. Damian should speak to Claire to confirm that she has done this prior to the export. Joe's haulage company will need both an EU and a GB EORI number to use both border systems and customs systems in the EU and GB. Even if you hire a company to do the customs paperwork for you, you will still need to apply for an EORI number. In this example, Damian needs an EU EORI number and Claire will need a GB EORI number. Joe's haulage company will need to have both GB and EU EORI numbers. It is important to note that once you have a GB EORI number, you will not need to apply again. The EORI number is related to your company rather than each import or export, and so it will remain the same. Further information on GB EORI numbers can be found on gov.uk by searching EORI, or you can click the link on the slides. In this case, Claire, the GB importer receiving the goods, is also the declarant, meaning that she is the person responsible for submitting the import declaration, as agreed with Damian when they agreed their Incoterms. Claire will need a GB EORI number and access to GB computer systems or software to submit the declarations. In this example, Claire will need to access the customs handling of import and export freight system. This is known as CHIEF. CHIEF is the GB computer system that records the import declaration when importing goods from overseas. Further information on this can be found within the link in the slides. Claire will need to purchase software to enable her to complete her declaration. She will then need to select a community systems provider, known as a CSP, that operates at her chosen GB port. The CSP will send her declaration electronically to CHIEF. It is worth noting that CHIEF will eventually be replaced with by the Customs Declaration Service known as CDS. To access CHIEF, Claire will need to apply using the C1800 form available on gov.uk. She will need to include information such as her contact details, her EORI number, which community systems provider she'll be using, the badge allocated to her by the community systems provider, the port location her goods will travel through, and the entry processing unit number. It is important to note that there are costs associated with using this system, and again, as mentioned, many people do choose to use an agent to complete this step for them. Claire also will need access to IPAFs to alert the authorities that her pepperoni pizza will be arriving in Great Britain. She registers for IPAFs using her Government Gateway account. She then creates a DEFRA account and can add team members to the account so that they all have access to IPAFs. For more information on IPAFs and for guidance on how to register, you can click the link available within the slides. In order to register for IPAFs, you need to be a GB established business. This means that Damian will not be able to complete this step on behalf of Claire. From the 1st of January 2022, Joe's Haulage Company will need to register for the UK's Goods Vehicle Movement Service, known as GVMS. GVMS handles the pre-lodgement of customs declarations. Joe's company will also need to register to use the safety and security system called S&S GB. This will be used to submit the Entry Summary declarations from the 1st of July 2022. Joe's Haulage Company can register for GVMS through gov.uk. They will need to have the GB EORI number and a Government Gateway user ID and password. If they do not have a user ID, they can create one when they register. Multiple team members can be added so that they can also use this service. Joe's Haulage Company will also need to register to use the S&S GB service on gov.uk. Again, they will need to have a Government Gateway user ID. Once registered, they can submit entry summary declarations by either purchasing compatible software or employing the services of a community systems provider. Under the new trading rules, some EU and GB goods can be moved from the EU into GB without having to pay tariffs. The rules of origin stipulate that only goods produced in the UK or EU benefit from a zero tariff agreement. So if your goods were made in another country, such as China, you would have to pay tariffs. If traders cannot prove their product meets the rules of origin through the relevant paperwork, they cannot benefit from the zero tariff agreed with the EU. You can search for rules of origin on gov.uk for more information. Claire makes sure that Damian's goods meet the rules of origin. And as Damian's pepperoni pizza is produced in Belgium, Claire can claim a tariff-free rate and won't have to pay tariff costs for moving the goods. You can check the tariff rates for different products at the web address on the slides. The tariff code for frozen pepperoni pizza is also shown on the slides. Claire also needs to check on gov.uk that the pizza is compliant with UK labelling and marketing rules. This needs to be done prior to the export from the EU. For products such as pizza, you will need to show on the label in English the country of origin, the name of the food, the date of the freezing, a best before or use by date, any necessary warnings, and the net quantity information. Composite products contain both of the following: processed products of animal origin for human consumption, and plant products as a main ingredient, not just for flavouring or processing. If you're selling food in Great Britain, this comprises of England, Wales and Scotland. You must also include the name and address of the UK or EU business responsible for the information on the food. Further information on food labelling and packaging can be found in the link to gov.uk on the slides. Please note that most labelling changes will be required by the 30th of September 2022. From the 1st of January 2022, Claire or a representative on her behalf will need to alert the UK authorities that the pizza will be arriving into Great Britain. Claire uses DEFRA's iPaths to pre-notify the import. Claire has registered to use iPaths via gov.uk. Some of the information Claire will need to input into iPaths to submit the pre-notification includes what is being imported, the date of import into Great Britain, which country it will be coming from. This confirms the product, the origin and the destination, and also the consignment's place of destination, for example, the warehouse address. From the 1st of November 2022, after submitting her pre-notification, Claire passes on the unique notification number, the UNN, generated to Damian to fill out the Export Health Certificate. Meanwhile, back in Belgium, Damian will need an Export Health Certificate from the 1st of November 2022 to send his pepperoni pizza to Great Britain from his approved premises. Approved premises are premises that have been found to comply with the standards determined by the EU and GB for exporting products of animal origin. All exports of live animals and animal products from the EU to Great Britain need an Export Health Certificate, which is an official document that confirms that the export meets the health requirements of the destination country. Damian applies for an Export Health Certificate and the Belgian certifying officer will inspect the goods. They will then issue and sign the certificate. Damian will need an Export Health Certificate each time he sends his pizza to the UK from the 1st of November 2022. Please note that the certification process will vary across member states. As an EU exporter, you will need to check the rules with your country's competent authority. The original signed Export Health Certificate must travel with the goods, so Damian will need to give this to Joe the driver before the goods leave. Meanwhile, as we've already discussed, from the 1st of January 2022, Claire will have to pre-notify the UK authorities that her pepperoni pizza will arrive in Great Britain. She has created the import notification in iPaths, but has been waiting for the signed copy of the Export Health Certificate. From the 1st of November 2022, Damian has to give Claire a signed, scanned electronic copy of the certificate. It is then Claire's responsibility to upload this onto iPaths. The certificate will be subject to remote documentary checks to make sure that the goods are all in order. Please note that the use of an official seal is not a mandatory requirement for importing animal products from the EU into GB. If an official seal is required, this will be stated in the relevant legislation or the explanatory notes on the Export Health Certificate. Damian will need to submit an export declaration to the Belgian Export System PLDA. This may be accompanied by an export accompanying document, which includes the movement reference number. On the export declaration, Belgium will be shown as the country of export and France will be shown as the country of exit from the European Union. Damian lists France as the port of exit because that is where the goods leave the EU. It's important that Damian lodges his export accompanying document declaration in Belgium. This is the country where he is based. He should do this rather than in France, the country of exit, because otherwise his business would have to be VAT registered in France to be able to complete the EAD. As Damian has submitted a merged export and safety and security declaration, which has generated an EAD, a separate exit summary declaration will not need to be submitted on the Member States' export control system. If a combined export declaration and safety and security declaration is not being submitted, a separate exit summary declaration would then be required. So we know that Damian has submitted the export declaration. He's prepared his Export Health Certificate and he's already sent an electronic copy to Claire to upload onto iPaths. It is now time for Joe to collect his pizza from Damian in the premises in Belgium and take it to Great Britain. Joe collects the goods and the haulage company ensures that he has all the relevant documentation. Before Joe sets off, he will need the movement reference number for the export declaration, the physical paper original of the Export Health Certificate. As we've mentioned, the original document should travel with the goods from the 1st of November 2022. If already available, the movement reference number for Claire's import declaration in Great Britain. The haulier does not need to have the reference number for the import declaration before setting off, but he will need to have this before he arrives at the port of departure. And since the 1st of October 2021, Joe will now need to travel with his passport, as GB will no longer accept EU, EEA and Swiss national identity cards unless you have settled or pre-settled status under the EU settlement scheme. Before the goods board, Claire needs to pre-lodge the GB import documentation. Claire has bought a software application which interfaces with Chief so that she can submit the import declaration. She will need to include the following: the CPC, which is the Customs Procedure Code, the Commodity Code, and the Declaration Unique Consignment Reference, which is a main reference number that links the declaration in the Chief system or the Customs Declaration Service. She also needs to provide information such as the departure point and the destination, the type, amount and packaging of the goods, the transport methods and the costs, the currencies and the valuation methods, and the certificates and licenses. When Claire submits her import declaration, this produces a movement reference number which she gives to Joe. Joe's firm will need to input the movement reference number and the safety and security entry summary declaration into the goods movement reference, known as GMR, in preparation for the movement within GVMS. The GMR will then need to be presented as part of the check-in at the border. There is further details on GVMS in later slides. As this movement is to a GB port or terminal using the pre-lodgement model, Claire must pre-lodge her import declaration to move the goods into GB before Joe moves the goods to GB. All goods entering Great Britain will need to meet safety and security requirements from the 1st of July 2022 onwards. Carriers have the legal responsibility to ensure that the UK Customs Authority is provided with the safety and security pre-arrival information. This is done by way of an entry summary declaration for the consignments being imported to Great Britain. The carrier is defined as the operator of the active means of transport. So for accompanied freight, the haulier is the responsible person for submitting the entry summary declaration, and for unaccompanied freight, the ferry operator will be responsible. In our case, because the goods are accompanied, it is the haulage company's responsibility to ensure that safety and security declarations are submitted. So Joe's firm will submit an entry summary declaration into the new IT system, S&S GB. This will be required from the 1st of July 2022. The entry summary declaration must be submitted at the earliest of either the minimum timing requirements, so at least 1 hour before arrival in Great Britain for journeys using the Eurotunnel, or 2 hours before arrival in Great Britain for short sea journeys, or before check-in closes. Joe's firm can submit the declaration themselves or find a third party to do this for them. Further information on using S&S GB can be found on gov.uk or by clicking the link available in the slides. Also to note, the entry summary declaration is required at consignment level for all goods imported into Great Britain. So now the goods have left Belgium and are moving through France to the port or terminal. Joe's haulage company can use groupage when moving goods through the EU to GB. Groupage is the commercial term for grouping of multiple consignments within a single sealed trailer or container. This can be done in different ways. For example, through a mixed consignment, meaning that multiple product lines of the same commodity type, for example composite products, are grouped under a single Export Health Certificate and imported as a single consignment. It can be done with multiple quantities of the same commodity, for example fish products, potentially from several sources which are grouped into the same container. It may be possible to import these as a single consignment covered by a single health certificate or as a mixed load containing several consignments. And finally, mixed load, which means multiple different commodity types, for example dairy products and meat products, are grouped in a single container. There are 4 models that have been developed for importing groupage loads from the European Union into Great Britain. These include the consolidation hub, the sequential or single, the linear multiple pallet, or the hybrid approach. To find out more about groupage and see further guidance on these models, you can watch the video that's linked within the slides. It is important to note that in this example, Joe is only moving 1 consignment of pizza from the EU to GB. This is not a mixed consignment, and the haulage company will not use groupage in this instance. From the 1st of January 2022, Joe's firm will use the Goods Vehicle Movement Service, known as GVMS, to input the import documentation. The sign-up process for GVMS was outlined earlier in the slides. Joe's firm will upload the GB import declaration and the entry summary declaration. As the goods move through the EU, Joe's firm uses the GVMS online system to create a goods movement reference. To do this, they enter the movement reference number for the GB import declaration, the entry summary declaration, and update the GMR, the goods movement reference, with the intended vehicle and crossing detail. All of this will be done in real time so that if anything does change on the journey, the systems are kept up to date. The GMR links all of the declaration references and proves that all the necessary declarations have been pre-lodged. Joe then drives from Belgium to the port or terminal in France. He scans the export documentation at the French border. If Joe is carrying several consignments, so products from other customers as well as Damian are clear, he may choose to use the envelope function on the French customs website to scan the movement reference numbers from the export accompanying documents for all the different consignments. These MRNs can be linked together into a logistics envelope and paired with a number plate of the truck which is scanned before Joe boards the ferry or shuttle. Using the envelope service is not compulsory, but it allows Joe to scan one barcode at the border rather than several movement reference numbers. Further information on this can be found within the link in the slides. Jo will then provide the goods movement reference, the GMR, to the carrier, the ferry or tunnel operator on arrival so that it can be checked to ensure that it is valid and correct. The haulier can't board if the GMR is not valid. Depending on the carrier's terms and conditions, the driver or haulier might be asked to present the GMR in the following ways. So by entering the GMR during the carrier's booking process, presenting a GMR barcode for scanning at check-in, or by presenting a GMR at check-in, for example, telling the carrier the GMR number. The GMR includes Jo's vehicle details. If goods require inspection, GVMS will return a held status. This message can be communicated to Jo through various means. Jo can confirm if his goods require inspection by checking the display information on board the ferry or train, or he can check the status by inputting the GMR into a web page or by typing the vehicle's license plate onto an app. Please note that when the truck embarks on the shuttle or ferry, i.e. has reached the point of no return, the export declaration is discharged. This communicates with the French system SI Brexit to confirm that the shuttle or ferry has departed. When the ferry or shuttle leaves, the Office of Exit in France will notify the Office of Export in Belgium that the goods have left the EU via the EU's export control system. Jo and the lorry now make the crossing from France to Great Britain via the English Channel. From the 1st of November 2022, physical and identity checks on products of animal origin will take place at border control posts. Jo's company will need to ensure that the point of entry into Great Britain that he uses is linked with a border control post that deals with composite products. A list of border control posts currently available can be found by searching BCPs on gov.uk or by clicking the link available within the slides. It is important to note that from the 1st of November 2022, the Export Health Certificate will be subject to remote documentary checks. Jo can check if an inspection is needed in real time and confirm what action is required using a link to a website provided through the driver messaging service. If the goods are selected by the Customs or Enforcement Authority, Jo would have to stop at a border control post or an inland border facility for the checks to take place. In this example, the pepperoni pizza is not selected for a control. From the 1st of November 2022, Jo will always need to enter GB via an established point of entry with an authorised border control post that is approved to handle composite products. We can see that Jo has now entered Great Britain. This means that Jo can now drive to Claire's premises in Great Britain and deposit the goods. As we explained earlier, Claire must alert the authorities that her pepperoni pizza is coming into Great Britain by pre-lodging her import declaration through IPAFs before Jo moves the goods to Great Britain. Claire does not need to pay any customs charges for her delivery of pepperoni pizza. Jo has now delivered the goods successfully to Claire at her premises in Great Britain. He does not now need to take any further action. Once Claire has received the pepperoni pizza, she must then update Chief if any of the details of the import have changed. For example, if the time of import changes compared to the pre-notification that she had previously submitted. The declaration must be updated to arrived by the end of the working day following the day on which the goods arrived in Great Britain. From the 1st of January 2022, Claire may find simplified declarations useful for making import declarations. Simplified declarations are designed to defer and delay the submission of the import declaration and the payment of goods brought into GB from the EU. To use them, her GB EORI will need to be approved for simplified customs declaration processes known as SCDP, or she could appoint an agent that is authorised to use simplified declaration procedures before the goods are imported. Claire would need to make a simplified frontier declaration or an entry into declarant's records at the time the goods are being imported. Claire would then need to follow this up by submitting a supplementary declaration before the 4th working day of the month after the date of import. In order to be approved for SCDP, Claire must have a good compliance record as well as a duty deferment account. Further information on this is available on gov.uk. The tariff rates show you the rate of duty and import VAT that you should pay for goods. Prior to import, Claire checked and confirmed that this is a zero tariff journey. Tariff codes can be found on the link within the slides. In addition to tariffs, all goods imported into GB incur VAT. The standard rate of VAT in the UK is 20%. However, rates differ on different goods and services. To check the VAT rate for the products that you are importing, you can check the website shown on the slides. Claire is VAT registered and so she can use postponed VAT accounting to account for import VAT. Import VAT on imported goods is normally charged at the same rate as if the goods had been supplied in Great Britain. As pepperoni pizza is zero rated in GB, meaning there's 0% rate of VAT, there is no VAT due on this import. For any imports where VAT does need to be paid, this will be paid on Claire's VAT return that covers the date of import. For more information, please check the link on the slides. As mentioned, there are no payments due in this example, but as Claire has registered for a duty deferment account, this means that if she imports goods regularly, she can make one payment a month through a direct debit instead of paying for each individual consignment. Claire has now received her goods and has completed all the relevant action. This means that the pepperoni pizza is now in free circulation within Great Britain. So these next few slides show a checklist of the actions that each person outlined in our journey today will need to complete before the movement of the goods. So first, let's take a look at Damian, the Belgian exporter. Damian will need an EU EORI number. He will need to agree the terms and conditions that he will trade on with the British importer. He will need to submit the export declaration to the Belgian Customs Authority. He will need to apply for an Export Health Certificate and arrange inspection and certification with Belgian authorities from the 1st of November 2022 onwards. He will also need to send an electronic copy of the Export Health Certificate to the GB importer so that the GB importer can upload the notification into IPAFs from the 1st of November 2022. And from the 1st of November 2022, he will need to ensure that the physical original Export Health Certificate travels with the goods. Joe, the driver, will need a copy of the GB importer's GB EORI number, the original certified Export Health Certificate from the exporter. As mentioned, this will need to travel with the goods from the 1st of November 2022 onwards. He will need the movement reference number as part of the export accompanying document. From the 1st of November 2022, he will need to ensure that the point of entry that he uses has a border control post that deals with the goods that are being imported. And his firm will need to submit an entry summary declaration into the S&S GB system from the 1st of July 2022 and provide the MRN from the entry summary declaration to Joe. And from the 1st of October, Joe will need to ensure that he carries his passport when moving the goods so that he can enter GB. Claire, the British importer, will need to agree the type of Incoterms that she will trade on with the EU exporter. She will need a GB EORI number. She will need to register for a duty deferment account. She will need to check that the goods meet the rules of origin and obtain or provide appropriate evidence to support the import declaration. She will need to check VAT and tariff rates for the goods. and check on gov.uk that the goods are compliant with EU labelling and marketing rules. She will also need to register on GB's IPAF system to submit the pre-notification of her import and upload the electronic copy of the Export Health Certificate from the 1st of November 2022 onwards. And from the 1st of January 2022, Claire will need to submit a pre-lodged customs declaration on Chief. This next slide shows a summary of the steps that have been taken by each of the 3 people in our journey today. Damian, the Belgian exporter, completes the merged exit summary declaration and the export declaration through the Belgian Export System PLDA. From the 1st of November 2022, he arranges for an inspection by a certifying officer to issue the Export Health Certificate, and when Damian receives the completed Export Health Certificate, he sends an electronic copy to Claire so that she can pre-notify the consignment on IPAFs. To note, Damian could use a Belgian customs agent to help him complete the paperwork, so he wouldn't need to complete this himself. Joe, the driver, will have the original certified Export Health Certificate and the movement reference number for the export and import declarations. He will drive the pepperoni pizza through Belgium to France. From the 1st of July 2022, Joe's firm will need to also complete an entry summary declaration for the goods entering Great Britain. Joe will drive the goods onto the ferry or Eurotunnel and take the goods through and clear them at the GB border. From the 1st of November 2022, Joe must enter Great Britain via an established point of entry with an authorised border control post. Finally, Claire, the British importer, will receive the pepperoni pizza at our company's premises in Britain. Claire had pre-notified the arrival of the goods into IPAFs before Joe left with the goods. Claire used Chief to pre-notify her import and submit the import declaration. Claire also input the arrival of the goods on Chief no later than the end of the working day following the goods arriving in Great Britain. Please note again that Claire could use a British customs agent to help her complete the import paperwork. This slide contains a list of useful links for you to use to get more information about what you need to do to be ready for the new border control changes. As we mentioned at the start of the presentation, we will be publishing the slides for you to read through and check out the links at your own convenience. Thank you for listening to today's presentation. We hope that you found it useful. We'll be taking away any questions that have been asked in the chat bar, and we will publish the answers to the most frequently asked questions and circulate a document via email. As mentioned, the slides will also be available for you after the event. These will be circulated via email as well. This means that you can download and click on the links in the slides in your own time. We hope that you found today's presentation useful, and thank you for listening.